Felicity, got confirmation?
Yes, sir. We
All
are
right.
live.
Sweet. Well, welcome to this week's YouTube Live, guys. Great to have everybody on here. But we want to, before we hop into anything, make sure that you guys know, if you haven't already, we would love to be able to earn your subscribe. Hit that little notification bell today. And if you don't want to do it quite yet, after we hopefully provide some value, maybe we'll earn it then. And you guys will hit that because we're putting a lot time, effort, and resources into the YouTube and into all of our social medias, really. So we would love to be able to earn that from you guys today.
Absolutely. Well, I think
Today's,
yeah,
go ahead.
today's topic, we're going to talk about some revenue drivers. Right, Baker's going to dive
Yep.
into what we call those here in a second. But I want to talk about why this is important and why we want to put these things into place. And it really all stems from the idea of our lead to client formula. Everybody has one. You have different metrics for it. However, this is the math of what I call it coaching math is conversations to clients, right? How many conversations are you having, to how many book calls you're having, to how many clients you're getting. When you show up with the mentality of that, I need to get a client today, and you take that approach, it's a really a hard struggle getting a client because you show up trying to get clients. I know that might sound counterintuitive that you're posting not to get clients, but let me explain. When you say, hey, I need to get a client today, we see everybody go, I'm looking for 5 people to do X, Y, and Z. And while that works in the beginning, and while it's nice to use sparingly, if you show up every day, you're just going to spam your audience. And then, well, you've seen it. You're like, man, I really wish they would stop doing that. It's like the supplement company that puts a sale on every Friday and you know it's coming, but you still don't buy because you know it's coming, right? It's actually kind of gross. At some point, you go, I'm just not even going to engage with their content because you're just trying to sell me on every single thing you do. So when it comes to the lead client formula, what we need to understand is really simple. The amount of clients you get is based on a certain number of phone calls or sales calls that you have. And you have a certain amount of calls based on how many conversations you're having. And so the question becomes is if I close one person out of every 2 sales calls, that means I have the 50% close rate. If you have 10 conversations to get 2 sales calls booked, then that means that you have a 20% booking call rate with a 50% close rate. All in all, 10 conversations equals 1 new client. So if you can get name, number, and email of 10 people, you get a client, your lead to client formula is 10 to 1. It's a 10%. So now we take the approach of if I want to get a new client today, I need to have 10 conversations. And now my thought process becomes, what can I do to have 10 conversations via text message today?
Mm-hmm.
What can I give away? What can I create? What value can I bring to my ideal client so that they'll want to have a conversation with me today? And if you don't believe me, think about every single business coach that you've ever seen on the internet. They don't say, if you want to work with me, buy my stuff, book a call with me. They say, if you want to learn more about sales, get my free framework here, where you give name, number, and email, and you start a conversation about it. The person that says, I'm going to show you how to post on Instagram. Here's my 100 hooks that you can get for the cost of what? A name, number, and email, so they can start a conversation with you. So everybody has a formula, and everybody has a different winning strategy that fits for their niche and business. But what you need to understand is that conversation leads to book calls, and book calls lead to clients. So how
Yep.
can we generate conversations? And this is where I'll let Baker take over. But this is so important understanding that when you wake up today, what's my objective and how can I start to execute that?
Yeah. So first, I want to kind of start off by prompting you, Felicity, to what percentage of coaches that come onto the platform would you say have some sort of routine that they do daily to predictably bring in new people?
I would say from the start, probably 60 to 75% of them. depending on where they're at in their business. If someone's super established, they have this down pat because they've been there, they've done that, and they're consistent with it. But someone starting brand new might not have these systems currently in place. So I would say probably around like 65 to 75%.
Okay. And then you're saying 65 to 75% of people do have something in place or don't?
Correct. Yes, do have something in place.
Okay. So that leaves, 35 to 40% of people that they don't have anything, right? So that's what we're going to propose today is, to kind of combine of what Felicity was just talking about and what Mike was leading into is really at the end of the day, guys, more conversations is going to equal more conversions. So everything we're about to talk about in our revenue routines, which is kind of our coined term for how we can help you guys start more conversations on a day-to-day basis. I'm going to briefly share my screen just so you guys can get a screenshot if you are watching this live. So let me do that really quick. And here we go. Hopefully you guys can see that. Don't know if you can. Does it look weird on you guys' end?
I'm able to see it fine on my end. It's very small
on
the
Got it.
YouTube live.
Well, hopefully we can get a quick screenshot of that then and just zoom in on it. But essentially, the revenue routines, which we're going to dive into, and I can give you guys the rundown so that we can dive into each one of these. And Felicity and Mike, you guys just stop if you want to expand on any one in particular routine. But revenue routines, these are things that you guys should be doing daily, right? So this is just like your morning routine, just like your evening routine, just like your gym or your nutrition routines. This is something that should be done daily. And something that Mike often says that I want you guys to think about as you're considering this a routine is he often says, if you treated your business like you treat your fitness, there wouldn't be any issue with growing, right? Because these are things that are just built into your day that are just, second nature for you to be doing. So first thing is if your business isn't where you want it to be, you have no excuse to not call all the leads that you currently have or that you got today. Okay. We've all seen like the guy, I don't actually know what the guy does except for maybe just tell everyone to call their leads, but we've all seen the guy with like the hat that says call the damn leads. Yep. That's kind of been funny, and something that Mike and I have joked about a lot is like, it is very true. Like if you have an ounce of time in your day and your business is not as big as you possibly want it to grow, there is no excuse for you to not call people. They've opted in if you've done everything right, and especially if you're doing it through AR. They've opted in. They've given you permission to contact them in any way that you want to contact them. You've got name, phone, and email. Let's call the people. Sometimes we even have their exact pain points that we can call them and talk to them about. We call tons of people daily inside of AR, and it's actually people's job to be able to call people, leads and current clients, to get them either on a call or to get them what they need to be able to be successful inside of our program.
Well, let's just talk about why people won't call the leads. It all starts with the insecurity of like, well, they don't want to talk to me. They don't want to reach out. They don't want me to bother them. Like I was talking to a client this morning, a coach, and I was like, you're playing this game like you're McDonald's. Like you're expecting people to come to you and order. And the truth is like, that's not going to happen. Like we have to actually go out and service the people. We can't expect people to want to come to us. And so the insecurity of like, well, they're not going to want to do this or want to do that. The truth is that they gave you their name, number, and email because they wanted to learn from you. And in fact, gratitude goes down the ladder. So if you would actually just take the moment and reach out to them and call them, like, I don't think you understand the power of the position in which you're at. Like you're the authority figure, and so many people think that, well, I'm going to be bothering them, and you put yourself below the prospect. They're on your list. You are the leader. You're at the top of the board here. And so when you reach out to them, they're going to be actually thankful that you reached out to them versus you're playing this game of being scared. Mm-hmm. I think that's a big mistake people make in the sales game. In the coaching game, is like, well, they'll just come to me. It's like the best salesmen in the world are the ones that actually go out to the leads.
Yeah.
Not the ones that sit back.
Knocking on doors, cold calling. Those are all the best salesmen.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So number one, revenue routine, call all new leads. Number two, you should be sending out 20 DMs minimum right? We actually recommend 100, and that's the standard inside of what we do. We recommend 100, but as a minimum, send 20 DMs total out to people just through your Instagram or through your platforms. Okay. A part of this, and you can wrap into a portion of it, or you can do it in excess, is you should be DMing all new followers that you get on a day-to-day basis. Absolutely. So if you get less than 20 new followers on a day-to-day basis, you need to send 20 new outbound DMs to people. If you get 20 new followers, then you can send those 20 DMs to the 20 new followers. Again, take this as far as you want. Alex Hormozi has the rule of 100, and just do everything 100 times a day for 100 days and watch your business grow from there. But sending 20 outbound DMs per day, especially to new followers, will generate you business. Okay, it just will. I know nobody loves the outbound DM game, just like nobody loves the cold calling game, just like nobody loves the door-to-door sales game. But that's how you get better at presenting and pitching and conversing about your product to convert more people.
We talked about this last week when understanding the difference between a VA and a setter, and then finding those tasks to be able to do by somebody else. And because if you don't have the time, right? Again, hiring somebody to help you do a task. I described it as basically there's 3 currencies having somebody help you do something. The first currency, you're essentially is trying to have more impressions, right? If you want to grow your business, you have to have more impressions, more conversations, more outreach, more views, whatever you want to call it. Impressions. This is your marketing. These are your touch point conversations. The second piece of currency is actually money. Somebody helping you make money inside the business. This is an appointment setter, closer, something like that. The third currency being somebody that helps you save time, where somebody's going to edit your videos so that you can do something else. Somebody that's going to write your caption so that you can do something else that makes money. But essentially, like between those 3 currencies, like one of them is having those conversations. If you're not doing it, then the question becomes, then who is? My job as the CEO is to bring money into the business. If I'm not doing that, and I'm not showing up every day of how are we going to get more people and more leads today, then the question becomes the rest of the team, if not him, then who? If you're the only one in the captain's driver's seat, wherever you want to call it, of your business, if not you, then who? Alex Hormozi said that you should sit down and strap yourself to a chair for 4 hours a day and do nothing for advertisement for 4 hours straight. When the timer hits off, your day's essentially over. Because that's your entire objective. If you're not doing 100 grand a month, you have to market. And this is part of that marketing concept, is starting new conversations. Like, we can't drill it enough. You can call it cold DMs, you can call it touch points, you can call it outreach, but I don't care if you're reaching out to people that like your ads. I don't care if you're commenting on people's stories that commented on your stuff or like your post. But if you're not starting conversations, you're waiting people to come to you, and the question still relies, if not you, then who?
Yep. Number 3 here. So number 1, call new leads. Number 2, DM all new followers and send 20 DMs total outbound. Number 3 is, if there's any type of nutrition component to what you do and what your offer is, post 2 meals on your story with macros. Okay. And if possible, feature a more interesting meal throughout your day. The reason that we do this is because it shows that you're actually walking the walk, right? Not just talking the talk. And it also is going to, if you post a little bit of data and like why you choose to eat a certain thing, it'll generate conversations, because people are going to wonder, oh, is that how that person looks that way, right? Is that how you actually eat on a day-to-day basis? How many times a day are you going to eat that? Like, what's your actual full day of macros? So it'll generate a lot of good questions for you. But it only matters if you have some sort of a nutrition component, whether that is coaching on macros or coaching on meal plans inside of your offer. So if you do have that, posting 2 meals in your story with macros per day can be a great way to be able to generate revenue inside of your routine.
It drives a lot of conversation. So if you're a macro-based coach, why would you not post the meals of you eating macros? And as bonus points for eating foods that we wouldn't necessarily deem as, let's say, perfect, healthy, or easy as trackable. So for example, if you're having a Chipotle bowl, tracking it. If you're having a burger, post the macros on it. Like, what does that actually look like? Because if you're a person that's trying to perform this lifestyle education, it's like, you can't post chicken or rice and find people that to be interesting. You got to walk the walk of what it is you're actually teaching. So I think it's really important to showcase that food. Some bonus points here. If you're using like an AR, the macro calculator, it really helps to be able to use that as leverage into a lead magnet. But at the same time, if you'll focus on the food component more than the training component, you will get food related questions, not training related questions. I always tell coaches when they're like, yeah, my lead magnet is a free workout. And I'm like, hey man, do you think that I need a coach? Just out of curiosity, you think I need a lifestyle coach? And they're like, no. I go, do you think you need one? They're like, no. I'm like, would you take a killer workout that I did this morning that I'm still sore from? And they're like, yeah. I go, so you would basically be a not ideal lead inside my system if I did that. And they're like, yeah. I go, if I needed nutrition help, would I be an ideal client of yours? Yeah, but I don't, because I eat out of Rubbermaid containers still. I was like, so anybody that's going to comment around food is somebody that's actually going to be an ideal client, because people that are in really great shape and they don't need a coach don't engage or really talk about food because they have it down pat, but will love to share workouts because we're peers.
Mm-hmm.
People you help aren't peers. They're people that need help in a very specific area. And food is, well, I'd probably say like 80% of the time, that's the area people need the most help with.
Yeah.
And I'd probably say like the other 17% is going to be mental health or habit related. And then 3% maybe training.
Yeah. Yeah. I brings up a good point, because I was talking to a coach the other day who he had this preconceived notion that being known as the food guy was a bad thing. And he was like, well, I want to be working with like absolute killers. You know, I want to work with people that can afford the 5K package, the 7K package, the 4,500 minimum package. Like, I want to be, and I feel like food is not my way to do that. Then we go look at his Instagram, and his top 3 videos, all of his top videos were food related videos. So he'd already kind of built himself into the food guy. And those were also his most highest converting videos through Instagram automations and through conversations generated and we went to look at it, and I'm like, okay. And I pulled up a couple other coaches that I wanted him to kind of look at. I'm like, this person's known as a food guy. Would you trade places with them, their revenue, their bank account? It's like, yeah. Like, this person's known as the food girl. Would you trade places with them, their revenue, their bank account? It's like, well, yeah. Like, okay. So don't, just because you see in your peer group that you think you need to be a little bit more hardcore, you need to go talk a certain way or walk a certain way or act a certain way. Being the food guy is not a bad thing, because food is the most common problem, like you're saying, Mike, that people have a struggle with. And if you can fix that for people, you can fix everything else for them. Yeah. Right. The movement part is not near as hard, not near as complicated. And there's not near as much emotion kind of tied into it. So we talked about that, and he kind of came to the understanding or the realization that, like, oh, I'm trying to rebrand. I don't really need to rebrand. I need to lean into this thing. Mm-hmm. So that's a great point. Mm-hmm. Okay. So 1, call all new leads. 2, 20 DMs a day. 3, post 2 meals in your story with macros. And 4, 20 comments. I'm going to go ahead and combine 4 and 5. These are 2 different tasks. They need to be broken up differently, but 20 comments on stories is number 4. And 20 comments on feed posts, including bigger accounts in your niche, places where ideal clients hang out, and on your ideal clients' posts. So 20 comments, and then 20 comments on feed posts, stories, feed posts. Let's dive into those.
Yeah. So great example here. I always like to take things like completely like left field here. If I worked with people that, okay, if I sold like fried food, home cooked, Southern meal ebooks, I would want to go comment on large country singers pages and comments on all of their posts, because Southern cooking is going to be around Southern people, and Southern people listen to Southern music. And so if I'm trying to find my ideal buyer as somebody that listens to, let's say, Morgan Whalen, then I need to, well, yeah, whatever. Then I go comment on Morgan
Whalen. That's the country. That's our country boy too.
I know, it's sad, right? It just shows. See, real country's dumb. See what I'm saying? So it actually fit perfect.
Okay.
So if I wanted to do that, I would also go comment on people that watch, let's say, NASCAR.
Yep.
NASCAR page. I would go comment on all things related to the hunting pages, like things that correlate with my ideal client, right? If I wanted to go after moms, I would go comment on things like Pampers, Huggies, the latest and greatest bottle and bib companies, all these new brands that are emerging. Go comment on their stuff, because who follows Huggies? Moms. I don't. Even if I had a kid, I still wouldn't, right? But moms do. And so it's like, where does your audience live? And go comment on those pages so that you were seen, which hits number one, impressions. Are people seeing you? And how are they seeing you? Because you can indirectly make sales by getting in front of people that fit your ideal client, by commenting things that are helpful or educational to them in front of them in a way that you did not expect.
And that's why as well, like posting things that are a little bit outside of like fitness and nutrition in the same ideal client sort of aspect that Mike was just talking about also will bring you clients that fit your ideal client. Even though they're a little bit outside of it, choosing those pillars that allow you to pull in more people, even if it's not completely related to fitness and nutrition, is going to in turn help with growing your business. I know that's a little bit outside of what we're talking about, but it's just a really good point in a sense of fitting outside things.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Of like, if I help busy dads, then I need to post content about me being a dad. Not everything has to be about fitness, because I can serve that father in more than one way. It can be humor about other fathers, or you're talking about your lawn and you make a reel about something funny about how perfect you like your lawn to be, because dads are going to go, yes, that's me. I can also relate. It has nothing to do with fitness, but everything to do with your ideal client. So it's another idea. If you work with dads, go comment on the videos that are of people cutting grass and it looking good, and make something funny on that page. And now you follow like the 5 biggest lawn care guys that post reels on Instagram. And then you comment on those, and then dads are the ones that watch it. Right?
Well, a lot of our best performing like guys that really lean into dads, right? They have dad in their profile, they have dad in their username, and then they're doing the things that dads are doing, right? They're going out and they're mowing their lawn shirtless, and they're making funny videos about, you know, how to show the other dads on the block I'm the alpha, right? Or like working out in the driveway so that all the other dads know I mean business, right? Or like or taking my daughter on a walk shirtless so that all the little kids in her grade know like she can't be messed with. Like, that's the type of stuff that it's not necessarily just fitness content, but you look the way that you look in content that's niche specific. Who is that going to interact with and do really well with? Other dads that are like, man, that'd be great if I could be that guy. Like, I want to be, because every dad does want to be that guy. And they do want to be the dad alpha or have the best lawn or the whatever. So that's a great example of how to you know, combine kind of like the subliminal, hey, I'm a coach, hey, I do these things, with, hey, this is the niche that I service and this is why I do what I do. So
I mean, tie it all together. Obviously, this is why like your Instagram bio is so important, so that when you do post that top of funnel content, dads come back to the page and go, oh, like, okay, so you help people just like me. I'll give you a follow. That was a good piece of content. I found some type of enjoyment in it.
Yeah. And shameless plug, you can wear a coach hat and have the same type of thing. Subliminally, people are going to know that you're a coach. Just like people wear the dad gang hats and people know that you're a dad as you're talking about different things. So
or
we got a few.
A guy in the airport you know, and all of a sudden you get 11 million views on a reel.
Yeah.
Doing that in the hat, you know? So
Exactly.
they don't know.
All right.
They don't know.
No. They'll know if they go search your Instagram though.
That's right.
All right, guys. That's all I got on revenue routines.
The idea here is to generate the revenue is what actions are you taking that actually start conversations? And all of these things are either you starting conversations or posting content that generate conversations.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yep.
And all of it is not just aimlessly on the internet. It's targeted to a specific avatar, your ideal client, your ICA, whatever you want to call it. It's getting your face and your information in front of them, and then you starting conversation 9 out of 10 times versus sitting back, waiting for people to come to you, wondering why your applications are dry.
Yep. 100%. Just to recap, guys, number 1, revenue routine, call all new leads. No excuse if your business isn't where you want it to be. Number 2, DM all new followers and send 20 total outbound DMs per day. Number 3, post 2 meals in your story with macros, feature an interesting one, especially if you have any type of nutrition component in your offer. Number 4, 20 comments on stories. And number 5, 20 comments on feed posts in your niche or on your ideal client's actual Instagram posts themselves. So we hope that those serve you guys well. And if you start to implement them, let us know. Let us know how it goes for you. And make sure that if we did provide any type of value at all, we would love to earn that subscribe bell as we continue to pour more and more and more into the YouTube channel. We appreciate you guys.
Appreciate you guys. Have a great weekend.
Thank you so much.